I no longer want intimacy. James, come to terms with it. Amelia wrote to me in a message, as if throwing our 8-year-old couple overboard. He replied, "Look, I'm resigned. By the way, your lawyer is already waiting for." Her face turned white when she realized I wasn't someone to just dismiss. James unlocked the front door of his Miami condo, the ocean breeze slipping through the open window as he dropped his laptop bag on the counter. It was 7:32 p.m., and the hum of rush hour traffic still lingered outside. He'd spent the day pitching a new campaign to a client, his mind sharp from coffee and adrenaline. Amelia wasn't home yet. Her design firm had her working late again, or so she'd said. He pulled out his phone to order takeout, but a new message stopped him cold. "No more intimacy, James. Deal with it." The words, blunt and unadorned, sat on the screen like a thrown punch. Amelia had sent it 20 minutes ago. No context, no emoji, just a digital guillotine slicing through 8 years of marriage. His thumb hovered over the keyboard, a reflex to fire back a question, a plea something. Instead, he set the phone down, the silence of the condo louder than the traffic outside. He wasn't the type to beg. Not yet. James poured a glass of water. The faucets hissed the only sound as he replayed the last few months. Their marriage hadn't been perfect. The first 3 years were electric, weekend trips to the Keys, late-night talks over cheap wine, her laugh filling every corner of their life. But the last 5 had dulled, worn down by her late nights at the office and his own grind to climb the marketing ladder. He'd cooked dinners she barely touched, planned date nights she canceled, and ignored the growing distance, chalking it up to stress. Now, her text laid it bare. This wasn't stress. It was a choice. He didn't reply. Instead, he opened his laptop and started a spreadsheet, titling it patterns. If Amelia was drawing a line, he'd map it out. He listed the nights she'd come home past midnight, the times she'd dodge his questions about her day, the way her phone stayed glued to her hand, screen tilted away from him. Last week, she'd mentioned a group project with her colleague Sophia, but her voice had hitched, a tell she probably didn't notice. James did. The door clicked open at 9:47 p.m. Amelia stepped inside, her keys clattering into the dish by the door. She didn't look at him, just kicked off her heels and headed for the bathroom. The shower ran for 40 minutes. When she emerged, her hair damp, she grabbed a mug from the cabinet and brewed chamomile tea without a word. James watched from the couch, his laptop still open. "Long day?" he asked, keeping his tone neutral. "Deadlines," she muttered, not meeting his eyes. She took her tea and disappeared into the guest room, the door clicking shut. James stared at the closed door, his jaw tight. The guest room had become her refuge lately, a pattern he'd added to his spreadsheet. He didn't knock, didn't call out. Instead, he typed one more entry, guest room again. No explanation. The next morning, James woke early, the condo still dark. Amelia's car was already gone. He brewed coffee for himself, skipping her usual cup. At work, he threw himself into a new campaign, but his phone buzzed mid-meeting. A text from Mike, a coworker. "Saw Amelia at that rooftop sushi spot on South Beach last night. You guys good?" James's stomach twisted, but he kept his face steady. "Yeah, all good," he texted back, then added another line to his spreadsheet. "South Beach, sushi, not with me." That evening, Sophia showed up at the condo unannounced, a bottle of rose in hand. She breezed past James with a too bright smile. "Amelia around?" she asked, already heading for the living room. James pointed to the guest room. "She's in there." Sophia's grin faltered, like she'd expected him to play along with some unspoken script. Amelia emerged, and the two women settled on the couch, their voices low, punctuated by giggles. James caught fragments, something about a new project and needing space. He didn't interrupt. He opened his phone's voice recorder and hit start, tucking it into his pocket. Later, after Sophia left, Amelia lingered in the kitchen, pouring another glass of wine. "You're quiet tonight," she said, her tone probing, like she was testing the water. James shrugged, closing his laptop. "Just thinking." She waited for more, but he didn't offer it. She frowned, then retreated to the guest room again. James pulled out his phone and saved the recording, labeling it Sophia, October 14th. He didn't know what he'd do with it yet, but he knew one thing. Amelia's deal with it wasn't the end. It was the beginning. The next day, James called a lawyer during his lunch break, a quick consultation to understand his options. The attorney, A sharp woman named Carla asked for details. James kept it simple. My wife says she's done with intimacy. I think there's more to it. Carla advised him to document everything. Texts, patterns, anything concrete. If it's heading where you think, you'll want proof, she said. James nodded, his spreadsheet already a step ahead. That night, Amelia came home earlier, her posture stiff. She dropped her bag on the counter and lingered, like she wanted him to ask about her day. He didn't. You didn't make dinner, she said, glancing at the empty stove. James looked up from his phone. Didn't know you'd be here. Her lips parted, but no words came. She grabbed a yogurt from the fridge and walked away. James added another entry. Noticed no dinner. Uncomfortable. Over the next week, the dynamic shifted. James stopped initiating. No text to check in, no offers to pick up her dry cleaning, no small gestures he'd once thought kept them tethered. Amelia noticed. She started hovering, asking random questions. You working late tomorrow? Or, you okay? James kept his answers short, his tone even. He wasn't cold, just absent in a way she hadn't expected. Each night, he updated his spreadsheet, cross-referencing her late arrivals with Mike's sighting and Sophia's visits. The pieces were forming a picture, one he wasn't ready to confront but wouldn't ignore. On Friday, Mike pulled him aside at work. I didn't want to say before, but that guy with Amelia? He was wearing a Rolex, real flashy. Didn't look like a co-worker. James nodded, his pulse steady. Thanks for the heads up. He didn't need to ask more. The spreadsheet grew. South Beach, Rolex male, not a colleague. That night, James sat alone in the condo, the ocean's rhythm faint through the window. Amelia's text had been a grenade, but he wasn't dodging the blast. He was collecting the shrapnel, piece by piece, ready to build something new. James leaned back in his office chair, the Miami skyline glinting through the window as he scanned his spreadsheet. It was Monday, and the entries had grown. Amelia's late nights, her guarded phone, the South Beach sighting with a Rolex-wearing stranger. He'd added a new column, Sophia's visits, tracking how often she appeared, always with a bottle of wine and a smirk. Last night, she'd stayed until 1 a.m., their whispers spilling from the living room as James pretended to sleep. His recorder had caught it all. At 6 p.m., James left work early, stopping by a coffee shop to review the audio. Sophia's voice crackled through his earbuds. You're finally free, Amelia. He's not even trying anymore. Amelia's reply was softer, hesitant. I didn't expect him to just stop. James paused the recording, his jaw tight. Stop? He'd spent years carrying their marriage while she drifted. Now her text, deal with it, had flipped a switch. He wasn't stopping. He was recalibrating. Back at the condo, Amelia was already home, a rarity. She stood at the kitchen island, scrolling her phone, her fingers pausing when James walked in. You're early, she said, her voice edged with something, guilt, maybe, or suspicion. James nodded, setting his keys down. Had a light day. He didn't mention the lawyer he'd met with again, Carla, who'd advised him to keep gathering evidence without confronting her yet. Patience wins these cases, she'd said. Amelia lingered, like she wanted to say more, but James moved past her to the fridge, grabbing a water. Sophia, coming over again, he asked, his tone casual but pointed. Amelia stiffened. Maybe. She's helping with a client pitch. James didn't respond, just sipped his water and opened his laptop. He typed a new entry. Amelia defensive about Sophia. Lied about client pitch. He'd overheard them last night. No mention of work, just laughter about putting him in his place. The next day, James switched tactics. He texted Mike, asking him to keep an eye out for Amelia at South Beach spots. Not stalking, James clarified. Just need to know what's real. Mike agreed, no questions asked. That evening, James drove to the design firm where Amelia worked, parking across the street. At 8:15 p.m., she stepped out, not alone. A man, tall, mid-30s, Rolex glinting under the streetlight, held the door for her. They climbed into a black SUV and drove off. James snapped a photo, the license plate clear, and emailed it to Carla. Run this, he wrote. At home, Amelia didn't show until 11 p.m. She dropped her bag and headed straight for the guest room, but James called out, Good meeting. She froze, turning slowly. Yeah, just brainstorming with the team. Her voice was too smooth, rehearsed. James nodded, adding to his spreadsheet. Left work with man, lied about team meeting. He didn't sleep that night, not out of pain, but focus. The pieces were aligning, and he wasn't chasing her anymore. He was outpacing her. Wednesday brought a breakthrough. Mike texted, "Spotted your wife at Ocean Drive. Same guy, same SUV. They look cozy." Attached was a grainy photo. Amelia laughing, her hand on the man's arm. James forwarded it to Carla, who called within the hour. The plate's registered to a Lucas Delgado, 36, owns a real estate firm. No criminal record, but he's got a reputation. Players don't settle. James thanked her and hung up, his mind racing. Lucas. The name fit the flash, the confidence. He Googled him, finding a LinkedIn profile. Polished headshot, expensive suit, a man who sold trust to close deals. And, apparently, to charm married women. That night, Sophia arrived again, her laugh echoing as she and Amelia opened a second bottle of rose. James stayed in the study, door ajar, recorder running. Sophia's voice carried, "Lucas is serious about you, girl. He's not like James, waiting around for scraps." Amelia's response was quieter. "I don't know, sophomore. It's moving fast." James saved the file, labeling it Lucas confirmed. He didn't feel rage, just clarity. Amelia wasn't just pulling away. She was building a new life, one where he was the collateral damage. The next morning, James called in sick, something he hadn't done in years. He drove to a private investigator's office, a contact Carla recommended. The PI, a no-nonsense woman named Rachel, took his evidence, photos, recordings, spreadsheet. "You've done half my job," she said, scanning the files. "Give me a week. I'll get you dates, times, locations." James nodded, handing over a deposit. "No confrontation yet," Rachel warned. "Let her think she's in control." James agreed, but control was already shifting. That evening, Amelia tried bridging the gap. She sat across from him at the dining table, a rare move. "You've been different," she said, picking at her nails. James looked up from his laptop. "You said deal with it. I'm dealing." Her eyes flickered, searching for a crack in his calm. She found none. "I didn't mean it like that," she said, softer now. James leaned forward. "Then what did you mean?" She stood, mumbling about a shower, and fled to the guest room. He added, Amelia backtracking, no explanation. Friday night, James went to a bar alone, not to drink, but to think. The neon glow of Ocean Drive pulsed outside, couples laughing, music thumping. He ordered a soda, watching the crowd. His phone buzzed. Rachel. "Got something?" Lucas and Amelia checked into a hotel last week. "Same SUV, same guy. I'm tailing them tonight." James thanked her, his grip tightening on the glass. He didn't need the full picture anymore. He had enough to act. When he got home, Amelia was on the couch, scrolling her phone. She looked up, startled. "You're out late," she said, an edge to her voice. "So are you," James replied, walking past her to the study. He locked the door, opened his laptop, and emailed Carla. Set up the divorce papers. "I'm ready." The spreadsheet was nearly complete, but the next move wasn't about data. It was about timing. Amelia thought she held the cards, but James was about to reshuffle the deck. James sat in his car outside the condo, the engine off, the Miami night heavy with humidity. His phone buzzed with a new email from Rachel, the PI. Lucas and Amelia spotted at a downtown hotel, 9:03 p.m. Photos attached. He opened the images. Amelia stepping out of the black SUV, Lucas's hand on her back, guiding her through the lobby. The timestamp burned into his mind. He forwarded the email to Carla, his lawyer, with a note. "Add this to the file." Divorce papers were already in motion, but James wanted an airtight case. Back inside, the condo was quiet. Amelia hadn't come home yet. No surprise there. James opened his laptop, pulling up the spreadsheet that had become his lifeline. He added the hotel sighting, cross-referencing it with Amelia's claim of a late client meeting. The lies were stacking up, each one a brick in a wall she didn't know was closing in. He saved the file and checked his recorder. Last night's audio of Sophia pushing Amelia to live a little was clear, damning. He burned a copy to a USB drive, tucking it into his desk. The next morning, James met Rachel at a diner off Biscayne Boulevard. She slid a folder across the table, her voice low. "Lucas Delgado's a serial charmer. 3 women in the last 2 years, all married, all left high and dry when he got bored." She tapped the folder. Receipts, texts, hotel bookings. Amelia's not his first rodeo. James skimmed the pages, dates, times, even a credit card trail linking Lucas to the same hotel from last night. He's sloppy, Rachel added. Thinks he's untouchable. James nodded, pocketing the folder. Not for long. At work, James kept his focus, pitching a campaign with a confidence that surprised his team. Mike pulled him aside after. You okay? You're like a machine lately. James gave a tight smile. Just handling business. He didn't mention the folder or the plan forming in his head. Back at his desk, he called Carla, updating her on Rachel's findings. We can push for a clean split, Carla said. Her affair gives you leverage on the assets. James didn't care about the money. He wanted closure, not vengeance. That evening, Sophia showed up at the condo again, uninvited, her knock sharp against the door. James let her in, his phone recording in his pocket. Amelia's not here, he said, blocking her path to the living room. Sophia tilted her head, unfazed. Just dropping by. You two seem tense. James stepped closer, his voice steady. I know about Lucas, and I know you're in her ear, pushing her to blow up our marriage. Sophia's eyes widened, but she recovered fast. You're paranoid, James. She's just stressed. He pulled out his phone, playing a clip from last night. Sophia's voice, clear as day, saying, Lucas is your ticket out. James is holding you back. Sophia froze, her bravado cracking. That's out of context, she stammered. James cut her off. I've got more. And I've got photos, Amelia and Lucas at the hotel. You want to keep playing, or you want to come clean? Sophia grabbed her purse, muttering, This isn't my mess, and bolted. James stopped the recording, labeling it Sophia Confrontation 1017. Amelia came home at 11:42 p.m., her steps hesitant as she entered. James was at the kitchen counter, the folder from Rachel open in front of him. We need to talk, he said, sliding a photo across the counter. Her and Lucas at the hotel. Amelia's breath caught, her hand trembling as she picked it up. This isn't what it looks like, she started, but James raised a hand. Don't. I've got receipts, hotel records, even Sophia selling you out on tape. You wanted me to deal with it? I did. Her voice cracked. Sophia pushed me, said I deserved more. James shook his head. You chose to listen. You chose him. He stood, pulling a manila envelope from his bag, preliminary divorce papers. My lawyer's ready. You can sign, or we could drag this out. Your call. Amelia sank onto a stool, her eyes darting between the photo and the envelope. I didn't sleep with him, she whispered. James didn't flinch. You didn't have to. You crossed the line when you planned to. She reached for his arm, but he stepped back. James, we can fix this. Therapy, anything. Her voice was desperate, a tone he hadn't heard in years. He looked at her, searching for the woman he'd married, but all he saw was someone scrambling to save face. You ended us with a text, he said. I'm just making it official. He walked to the study, locking the door behind him. His phone buzzed. Rachel again. Lucas just left the hotel alone. Amelia's still there. Wanting to keep digging? James texted back. No, I've got enough. The next day, James moved his essentials to the guest room, a clear signal he was done sharing space. Amelia hovered outside the door, knocking softly. Can we talk? She asked. He opened the door, but didn't invite her in. What's left to say? She fidgeted, her words tumbling out. Sophia twisted everything. She said you'd never leave, that I could test you. James's laugh was sharp, humorless. Test me? You gambled our marriage to feel powerful. You lost. He spent the weekend at his brother's place, needing distance. His phone stayed quiet. No text from Amelia, no calls. Monday morning, Carla called. She's reached out to her own lawyer. Looks like she's not fighting the divorce. James exhaled, the weight lifting slightly. He drove to the gym, his new routine, and pushed through a grueling workout, each rep a step toward reclaiming himself. By the time he got back to the condo, Amelia was gone, her car missing from the lot. A note on the counter read, I'm staying with Sophia for a bit. I am sorry. James crumpled it and tossed it in the trash. That night, he met Mike for a beer at a bar on Ocean Drive. The music pulsed, the crowd alive with energy. Mike raised his glass. You're looking lighter, man. James nodded, sipping his drink. Feels like I'm waking up. He didn't tell Mike about the folder, the recordings, or the divorce papers. He didn't need to. The truth was his leverage, and he was ready to use it, not to destroy Amelia, but to free himself. As he left the bar, his phone buzzed, a text from an unknown number. It's Sophia. We need to talk. James deleted it without replying. The game was over, and he was already ahead. James stood in the condo's guest room, packing a duffel bag with enough clothes for a week. Amelia's note, her apology and claim of staying with Sophia, still sat in the trash, unanswered. He zipped the bag and drove to his brother's apartment across town, the Miami lights streaking past. His phone stayed silent, no messages from Amelia, only a confirmation from Carla. Divorce papers are ready. We can file tomorrow. James parked, exhaling. The inn was close, but he needed to stay sharp. At his brother's place, James crashed on the couch, the city's hum faint through the window. He opened his laptop, reviewing Rachel's final report. Lucas Delgado's pattern of affairs, hotel receipts, and a text exchange between Amelia and Lucas, intercepted by Rachel's contact. "You're my escape," Amelia had written. James closed the file, his decision cemented. He wasn't fighting for scraps of a marriage that no longer existed. He texted Carla, "File them. No dilas." The next morning, James met Carla at her downtown office. She slid the papers across her desk, her voice steady. "You're giving her the condo, splitting the savings evenly. No alimony. She's got no grounds to contest." James signed without hesitation, each pen stroke severing 8 years of loyalty. "What's next?" he asked. Carla leaned back. "She'll get served today. Expect pushback. She might try to negotiate." James nodded, already anticipating Amelia's panic. By noon, he was back at work, leading a pitch with a focus he hadn't felt in months. His phone buzzed mid-meeting, a call from Amelia. He let it go to voicemail. Her message was shaky. "James, I got the papers. Can we talk? Please." He deleted it, returning to the pitch. After work, he hit the gym, the rhythm of weights grounding him. Mike texted, heard Amelia was at the office, looking rough. "You good?" James replied, "Better than ever." He meant it. That evening, James returned to the condo to grab more clothes. Amelia was there, sitting at the kitchen island, the divorce papers spread out like a crime scene. Her eyes were red, but James didn't soften. "You signed yet?" he asked, setting his keys down. She shook her head, voice low. "I didn't mean for this." "Sophia." She made it seem like I needed to shake things up. James crossed his arms. "You shook. Now we're here." Amelia stood, stepping closer. "I never went through with Lucas. I stopped before anything happened." James pulled out his phone, opening Rachel's report. "You booked a hotel room with him 3 times. You texted him I was holding you back. Stopped or not, you chose him over us." Amelia's mouth opened, but no words came. She sank back onto the stool, defeated. James grabbed his bag and left, the doors clicked final. The next day, Rachel called with an update. "Sophia's been texting Lucas, warning him about you. Seems she's trying to cover her tracks." James smirked. "Let her try." He asked Rachel to send Sophia a message. "I have your voice on tape, pushing Amelia into this. Stay out of it, or it goes public." Rachel agreed, and within hours, Sophia texted James, "I'm sorry. I didn't mean to ruin things." He didn't respond. Her apology was as hollow as Amelia's promises. At work, James's campaign landed a major client, earning him a bonus. He used it to lease a new apartment in Brickell, a sleek high-rise with a view of the bay. Moving day was quick, 2 suitcases, his laptop, and a box of books. The condo, with its memories of Amelia's distance, was hers now. He didn't look back. That night, he joined a photography class, a hobby he'd abandoned years ago. The instructor praised his eye for detail, and for the first time in months, James felt something like pride. Amelia tried reaching out again, leaving a voicemail. "I'm seeing a therapist. I know I messed up. Can we just meet?" James listened, then deleted it. He wasn't cruel, just done. Carla called later, confirming Amelia had signed the papers, agreeing to the terms. "She's not fighting," Carla said. "Probably knows she's got no leverage." James thanked her, hanging up as he walked to the gym. His phone buzzed again, an email from his photography instructor with a link to a local gallery looking for submissions. He started drafting a portfolio. Friday night, James met Mike at a rooftop bar on South Beach. The ocean glittered below, the crowd buzzing with energy. Mike raised his beer. "You're killing it, man. New place, new vibe." James clinked his glass. New start. He didn't mention the divorce or Lucas. Instead, he talked about his photography, the way capturing a moment felt like reclaiming a piece of himself. Mike listened, nodding. "She didn't know what she had," he he said. James shrugged. Her loss. Back at his apartment, James found a letter slipped under the door. Amelia's handwriting. I'm moving to Sophia's for good. I know I broke us. I hope you find what I couldn't give you. He read it once, then tossed it in a drawer. Closure wasn't in her words, it was in his actions. He opened his laptop, uploading his photos to the gallery's submission portal. As the upload bar filled, his phone lit up, a text from a woman in his photography class, asking if he wanted to grab coffee. He smiled, typing a quick reply. Sure, tomorrow works. The divorce wasn't final yet, but James was already moving forward. Amelia's choices had pushed him to the edge, but he'd found solid ground. Sophia's meddling, Lucas's arrogance. They were noise now, fading against the life he was building. He closed his laptop, the city's pulse syncing with his own. Tomorrow was his, and he was ready to claim it. James walked along the Miami waterfront, the morning sun glinting off the waves as he sipped coffee with Elena, the woman from his photography class. She laughed at his story about botching a long exposure shot, her ease a stark contrast to the tension that had defined his last months with Amelia. You're a quick learner, Elena said, nudging his arm. James smiled, feeling a spark he hadn't known in years. He didn't mention the divorce, now just days for finalization. Instead, he asked about her favorite lenses, letting the conversation flow. Back at his Brickell apartment, James checked his email. The gallery had accepted 3 of his photos for an upcoming exhibit, a small but real win. He forwarded the news to his brother, who replied, Knew you'd bounce back. James closed his laptop, glancing at the drawer where Amelia's letter sat, unread since he'd tossed it there. Her words no longer held weight. He'd moved out of the condo, signed over the lease, and wired his half of their savings to her account. The paperwork was done. Carla had texted confirmation that morning. At work, James's latest campaign launched, earning praise from his boss and a client dinner invite. He declined, opting for a quiet evening editing photos. His phone buzzed, a message from Mike. Saw Amelia at a cafe. She looked lost. You holding up? James typed back, all good. Thanks. He didn't ask about her. The past was a closed file, and he wasn't reopening it. The next day, James met Carla at a courthouse downtown to finalize the divorce. Amelia was there, sitting across the room, her posture rigid. She glanced at him, but he kept his eyes on the judge, who reviewed the terms. No alimony, assets split, condo hers. The gavel fell, and it was over. Amelia approached as James gathered his things. Can we talk? She asked, her voice small. He nodded, stepping into a quiet hallway. I messed up, she said, clutching her purse. I let Sophia push me into something I didn't even want. James stayed silent, letting her fill the space. Lucas was a mistake. I thought he'd make me feel alive, but I was wrong. She paused, waiting for a reaction. James leaned against the wall. You made choices, Amelia. I made mine. Her eyes glistened, but he didn't waver. I'm not angry, he added. I'm just done. He walked away, the courthouse doors swinging shut behind him. That evening, James joined his photography class for a group shoot at Wynwood Walls. Elena paired up with him, her camera clicking as they captured the vibrant murals. You're different, she said, adjusting her lens. Focused but not intense. James shrugged, framing a shot. Had to let some things go. She didn't press, just smiled, and they worked in sync, the art around them mirroring his newfound clarity. A week later, the gallery exhibit opened. James's photos hung alongside others, drawing quiet nods from the crowd. Elena showed up, offering a high five. You're officially a star, she teased. He laughed, scanning the room. Mike was there, too, raising a glass from across the space. James felt rooted, not just in the moment, but in himself. His phone stayed quiet. No text from Amelia, no apologies from Sophia. Rachel had sent one last update. Lucas had moved on to another woman, and Sophia was persona non grata in Amelia's circle. James didn't care. Their chaos was their own. The next morning, James ran along the bay, his pace steady, breath even. His phone buzzed mid-stride, a gallery curator asking to feature his work in a local magazine. He agreed, slowing to a walk as the skyline loomed ahead. Later, at a coffee shop, he met Elena again. She showed him her latest shots, then hesitated. There's a photography retreat in the Keys next month. You in? James nodded. Count me in. Her smile lingered, and he felt the pull of possibility. Back home, he found a voicemail from Amelia, left hours earlier. I saw your photos online. They're incredible. I hope you're happy. He deleted it, not out of spite, but because it didn't matter. Happiness wasn't something he was chasing. It was something he was building. He opened his laptop, pulling up new shots from Wynwood. Each click of the shutter had been a choice, a step away from the life Amelia had dismantled. The following week, James signed up for a hiking group, craving the open air. On his first hike, he met a guy named Carlos, who shared his dry humor and love for capturing landscapes. They swapped tips, planning a sunrise shoot at Key Biscayne. James's days filled with purpose, work, photography, new connections. He wasn't dating Elena, not yet, but their coffee meetups were becoming a habit, each one a quiet promise of something real. One evening, while sorting prints, James got a text from an unknown number. "It's Sophia. I'm sorry for everything. I was wrong." He stared at the screen, then blocked the number. Her role in this was over, and he wasn't here to absolve her. He turned back to his photos, selecting one for the magazine, a shot of the ocean at dawn, light breaking through clouds. It wasn't just a picture, it was proof he'd found his way. The divorce had stripped away the illusion of partnership, but it had given James something better, himself. Amelia had chosen ego, Sophia had chosen control, and Lucas had chosen fleeting thrills. James chose freedom. As he packed his camera for the Keys retreat, his phone lit up with a group chat from the hiking crew, joking about the trail ahead. He laughed, typing a quick reply. The waterfront stretched outside his window, endless and open, just like the life he was carving out, one deliberate step at a time.